Hello there. What's up guys, it is GoFest Day 2 and we are out here with the new raid boss, the Ultra Beast. First one in Pokemon Go, Nihilego. Today we're going to be talking about this raid boss. Is it any good? Is it worth getting? Let's start by doing a raid for it. Get some invites out here. This raid boss can be duoed, by the way, so you can do it with 2 people. It's 4 times weak to ground, so just use your ground types. Most likely when you're watching this video, the raid boss is going to be gone from raids, so this information is not very useful to you. Okay, hopping into the raid here. We got 4 people here, all using ground type counters. This should be no problem taking it down. It's pretty much just like a jellyfish looking Pokemon. It looks kind of cool. We're going to go ahead and take this down and we'll talk a little bit more about it. Okay, and here we go. Down goes the first raid. We're gonna go ahead and check it out. First Ultra Beast in Pokemon Go is literally just a jellyfish. Pretty cool. 100% IV. I actually don't know off the top of my head. I'll throw it on screen. But I already did get this thing in the Pokedex. Let's talk a little bit more about the meta relevance of this Pokemon because a lot of you guys probably caught a bunch of them yesterday and you're wondering if you should throw them in the trash or keep them. So this right here is an Ultra Beast. These are Pokemon from the other dimension, another dimension, that were brought here through wormholes. Obviously, you can see them up in the sky. Most likely, we're gonna get a bunch of other Ultra Beasts, but today we're talking about this one. Let's get right into it. Nihilego is a poison and rock type Pokemon. The base attack of 249, base stamina of 240, and base defense of 210, with a max CP at level 50 of 4,465. For fast moves, it can learn Acid and Pound, and for charge moves, it can learn Power Gem, Gunk Shot, Sludge Bomb, and Rock Slide. We haven't really had a strong poison type in the game, so let's see how it stacks up as a poison type raid attacker. Okay, now before we talk about its raid standings, a couple things we have to cover. First of all, an Ultra Beast is not a legendary, it's not a mythical, it's its own thing, it's an Ultra Beast. This means this Pokemon can be traded since it's not considered a mythical, and also it does get you 3 guaranteed XL candies, kind of like legendaries and mythicals when you catch it from a raid or I think, yeah, any sort of encounter. It also does get included in the expanded group transfer, so if you check this off, that means when you mass transfer, you can't actually mass transfer Ultra Beasts. You actually have to turn this check mark on this setting if you want to be able to mass transfer these Ultra Beasts. With that out of the way, let's talk about it in raids. It will have a DPS of 16.122 as a poison type raid attacker and will be the number 4 DPS behind Shadow Victreebel, Shadow Vileplume, and Mega Beedrill. This means it's number 1 overall non-mega, non-shadow poison type raid attacker. If we're looking at overall, so not considering just DPS but also taking consideration its bulk, you're looking at number 2 overall behind Mega Beedrill. So number 1, even beating some shadows in the overall spot. Pretty good for poison. Now, since it can't actually learn a rock type fast move, it makes it a little harder to classify as a rock type raid attacker. So what we're gonna do is take a look at Ho-Oh, which is 4 times weak to rock and the best counters to Ho-Oh. In terms of DPS, the best counters to Ho-Oh, Nihilego is looking in the number 23rd spot, so honestly not great compared to so many other options. Same in the overall spot, we're looking at number 14. So all in all, Nihilego, since it's missing that rock type fast move, it's just not gonna be able to compete up there with some other rock type raid attackers like Rampardos, Rhyperior, you know, even something like Gigalith is better than it. Now you guys are gonna be like, oh my god, it's so good for raids then as a poison type raid attacker. Should I get it? Now wait, you might not want to. The reason I'm saying this is because we have to take a look at when are you using poison type in raids, and the only time you're pretty much using poison types is going to be against fairy type legendaries. Fairy types like Zacian, Xerneas, and then all of the Tapus and some other ones that will come out in the future are weak to poison. However, the issue I'm finding here and why I don't really actually recommend powering this thing up for raids is because we have Metagross. 9 times out of 10, Metagross and the steel type category, which is literally just Metagross, are going to be better than using these poison type Pokemon. There's only 2 scenarios, maybe 3 I would consider using Nihilego. Number 1, if you're going up against Tapu Bulu, which is double weak to poison, obviously poison is going to be the go-to. Tapu Koko as well is only weak to poison and ground, I believe. Its electric type neutralizes the steel weakness. So in that scenario, Nihilego might not be a bad option because it does compete in terms of DPS with some of the top ground type raid attackers, since ground is not the strongest type for raids and doesn't have some of the strongest attackers like some of these other types like steel. And the third scenario potentially would be Tapu Fini, in which again, it is a fairy type, but losing that weakness to steel because of the water type. But again, in this scenario, there's other types that are better like electric, in which electric has a lot of high DPS Pokemon you'd probably prefer to use. So yeah, all in all, Nihilego is a good poison type raid attacker, and it's not bad to have a couple, but there's only a couple small scenarios in which I would actually recommend using a Nihilego over something like a Metagross. Take it with a grain of salt, let me know if you're gonna be powering one up. Let's move on to PvP. So Nihilego unfortunately got a little shafted in the fast move department. It has Pound and Acid. Pound is absolute garbage, and Acid is just a worse version of Poison Jab. Poison Jab is the exact same move as Acid, takes the exact same amount of turns, but it does 1 more damage and generates 2 more energy. Honestly, at this point, I don't even know why Acid is in the game, because Poison Jab is just literally just better. Now this Pokemon's only going to fit into the Ultra League and in the Master League. Unfortunately, it is going to be too high CP for the Great League, and even if you get one from research and trade it, you would have to get 000 IVs on your level 15 Nihilego to fit in the Great League, which is impossible since I don't think you can trade Ultra Beasts with a super low level friend, and there's IV floors from the research. So in the Ultra League, Nihilego is looking at a ranking of 509. It's really not that great, and honestly, its main problem is going to be, first of all, its fast move, but then also it just can't really contain a lot of bulk since its stats so high in the Ultra League. In the Master League, we're looking at a better ranking, 156, but that's just because there's not a lot of Pokemon that actually can reach a high enough CP to compete in the Master League. As you can see, it is beating a lot of Fairy type Pokemon, which makes it not the worst thing ever, since Fairy types are pretty common in the Master League, but it also does have a lot of losses. It's going to struggle a lot against ground types, which there's a lot of them, like Excadrill hanging around, and all in all, it's just not really a Pokemon you're going to need for PvP. Unfortunately, it did not get Poison Jab, which if it did, it would have been a lot better, but missing out on that Poison Jab is just going to hold it back in PvP, and you can kind of avoid it for that realm of gameplay. Okay, and where does that leave me for my recommendation on whether you should power up or keep Nihilego? Honestly, in my opinion, having one is not the worst thing ever. You can use it as a poison type in those raids we talked about earlier. Having multiple, I don't think is going to be necessary. In the end, I would still recommend keeping all the ones you have because it seems to be a pretty exclusive raid boss. It's only available at the Go Fest, which was obviously yesterday. So you can keep them that you have them now. It'll probably come back in the future with a shiny, so you can definitely grab it then. Honestly, probably only power up one. You could use it on your raid team, but you could probably avoid it for PvP. With that being said, that's pretty much going to be the video, guys. I do want to ask you guys, how do you guys feel about Go Fest Day 2? One thing I will say is that if Niantic wants people to raid a raid boss, you got to have a shiny in it, especially when it's a Go Fest raid boss. And on top of that, it needs to be like pretty meta relevant. I think it would have been a lot more fun if maybe Pokemon Go released multiple Ultra Beasts on Day 2 of Go Fest. I know they have to save some to release later, but still. I don't know, let me know what you guys think about it. Honestly, I think Day 2 of Go Fest could have been a lot more focused around raiding, because last year we had every legendary in raids, but this year we only got one new raid boss on Day 2 and a couple special research. That's pretty much the video, guys. Let me know how your Go Fest went. If you guys got yourselves some decent Nihilegos in Pokemon Go. We're gonna see you on the next one. Fall for this, everyone. Peace.